A midlife crisis is more than just a cultural stereotype. It's a real psychological struggle that can surface between the ages of 40 and 60. Often triggered by aging, loss, or unmet expectations, it can actually lead individuals to question their identity, make impulsive choices, or abruptly abandon long term commitments. While not officially classified yet as a mental illness, the emotional and relational fallout is very real, especially for the spouses and families left behind. This podcast gives voice to those living through the aftermath, exposing the hidden pain, and seeking accountability, healing, and understanding. Thank you for joining us today on MLC Bomb Drop and Beyond. The stories and events discussed in this podcast are for informational and entertainment purposes only and should not be considered legal, medical, or professional advice. Any names, locations, or identifying details have been changed to protect privacy. Any similarities to actual persons, living or dead, or real events are purely coincidental. The information presented on this podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be considered as professional advice. Always consult with a qualified expert regarding any decisions related to your specific situation. The views expressed by guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the host or the podcast creators. Hello, Bomb Squad. Thank you for joining us today. A woman's midlife crisis generally has about 5 stages and can run anywhere apparently from 2 to maybe 5 years max. It appears that women's midlife crisis it tends to be shorter than a male. What she generally feels, stage 1 would be buildup or discontent. Um, she would feel general restlessness, dissatisfaction with life, irritability, or sadness. She may express vague unhappiness like, I just feel lost or I don't know who I am anymore. And you're going to see this with emotional distance will begin. There might be increased criticism, some withdrawal, even preoccupation with appearance or youth, lost time. And she may start going out more, joining new groups. And you might notice there's a little pulling away from family routines as she becomes a little more independent and looking for, new groups. What can you do about that? Definitely listen empathetically without fixing. So just listen without fixing. I think just like Mel Robbins says something like, would you like me to listen or give advice? And that's a really important thing to remember when you're talking with somebody is, do they just want a listener or are they looking for some advice? And it might start with just listening and then they might need some advice or want some advice. So what you can do if your wife starts feeling, if you see restlessness and she's feeling lost, she tells you she doesn't know who she is, really listen to that and definitely encourage that she gets some therapy um, to talk about that, preferably with somebody who is familiar with midlife crisis. Um, don't panic, just be alert and definitely avoid becoming defensive or trying to force a closure on it because it just can't close like that. Her next stage is going to be stage 2. That's called escape or the break. When your wife enters the escape or the break, she's going to continue to feel really overwhelmed by emotions and internal conflict. She may idolize freedom, youth, or another life completely. She may start to feel suffocated by her roles as a mother, a wife, an employee. So you'll notice those changes in her mood and behaviors. You're going to notice like sudden changes sometimes. She may even come home out of the blue and say she wants to have a separation. She might quit her job. She may change her appearance and make impulsive decisions. She may even start up an affair. She may rewrite history and say, I was never happy. You never understood me all these, 15, 20, 30 years. So what you can do about that, don't argue it. It's a rewritten narrative and she's rewriting it to just justify her escape. What you can do is set clear boundaries, stay calm, focus on your emotional safety, and and just let her be. That there's no convincing her. She's, um, rational things may just drive her further away. And you might want to seek legal and emotional support if separation is what's going on here. Stage 3 is going to be complete chaos and acting out. She is going to feel a roller coaster of euphoria and confusion, almost like a high school student. She may idolize a new relationship, she may idolize a new social group, or even a new identity. And she won't even recognize that damage is being done to you, her long-term spouse or partner, or to the family. It just does not register. What you may see is bizarre, out of character behavior, recklessness with money, sex, drinking, and even with her friendships. She may become defensive. She may blame you for everything wrong in her life. That is completely normal. Please don't take it personally. It's imperative that you know that because looking at when they look at their spouse, you're basically reflecting to them everything that they're trying to run away from. So just let her be, and you know, just let her be, and try to just put that away. What you can do, don't enable the chaos, maintain your boundaries. You can detach with love, stay kind, but don't allow mistreatment. Um, Document and protect yourself legally if needed, and seriously, document everything. Focus on your stability and healing because she is in a storm and you can do nothing about it. Um, Ken DeRuth has a train analogy that I really like. It is called, when you're married, you're on the same track, but all of a sudden, when midlife crisis happens in your family, now you're on separate tracks. And that midlife crisis spouse is going down a crazy track. They've just got to run it out, run its course. You need to stay in your track and continue forward. And maybe your tracks will both merge someday again, but you can't go chasing after their track. Just stay in yours, guide your train, and stay steady. So, stage 4 would be depression and awakening. That's when reality starts to hit your wife. The fantasy life isn't working out, and she's gonna start to see that. She's gonna start to feel regret, guilt, and shame. She may feel deeply lost or broken. And what you're gonna see is that there's gonna be a real slowdown. She's gonna start to withdraw from the chaos. There's gonna be sadness, confusion, emotional numbness. She may start reaching out or reflecting, and what you can do is just be compassionate but cautious and watch for manipulation because it's easy for somebody to come back and say they miss you, they want to be back together, but without true remorse or change. So be willing to listen only if she's honest and accountable. And don't rush reconciliation. She really needs to take responsibility and be clear-eyed and be clear on what future she really wants to go forward with. Stage 5 is going to be healing and acceptance. Your wife's going to start reconnecting with real emotions and truths. She's going to accept her part in the damage of your relationship and marriage. She's going to possibly seek forgiveness or a real dialogue because you did not get that dialogue during the first 4 stages of midlife crisis. You're going to see a more grounded person beginning to reemerge. She may ask to reconcile or redefine the relationship. Her behavior is going to be more consistent. It's going to replace the chaos. And there's what you can do. You can consider reconciliation, therapy, and all that. You're going to have to take it slow. It didn't happen overnight, and healing is still ongoing for both of you. And if you have moved on and don't want to reconcile, that's okay too. But just know those are the 5 stages that you're most likely going to see with your wife, um, roughly 2 to 5 years. And it's going to start with her buildup of discontentment. Then she's going to make the break. Then she's going to totally act out with the roller coaster of euphoria and confusion and completely out of character behavior. And then she'll get to stage 4 with depression and awakening, where she slowly comes out of this crisis. And then stage 5 is her healing and acceptance. Why midlife crisis men self destruct? First of all, they hit a personal identity collapse. Around 40 to 55 years old, many men realize they're aging, their bodies don't feel invincible anymore, dreams they once had are slipping away, and life feels repetitive, boring, and finite. It's also called stable or secure. Um, but you know what? As secure and stable that is, it can create terror inside of them. And they start thinking, shoot, man, is this it? Is this all that I am? Is this it for me? Then they have immature emotional coping skills. Many men were never taught how to handle fear, grief, aging, or loss. Instead, they learn to chase success, distraction, or validation. Just everybody should get that. It's all about success and validation, I think, growing up. Then when the deep feelings hit, they panic because they don't really know how to sit with this discomfort. And a lot of men, if they're, or, men and women, if they are avoidant personality types or have, issues like that, they, they just keep it inside and don't share those fears. They may seek an external solution to that internal problem. Instead of working inside, like therapy, reflection, facing fears, discussing it with their spouse, they may try to fix the crisis by getting a new car, having an affair, changing their career completely, or just moving cities. They may do all kinds of stuff. The affair partner actually becomes a symbol of youth, excitement, admiration, all the things that they feel that they're losing out on. They then rewrite the story to justify their actions. To avoid facing their own guilt or shame, many men create a false narrative like, I was unhappy for years. My wife didn't understand me. I deserve to be happy too. And they expect everybody to be so excited and happy for them because they're finally now living their life and happy about what they're doing. But this self justification lets them betray their family while still feeling like a good guy in their mind. And they are so easily manipulated by affair partners. The affair partners often sense the vulnerability in this future faking happens fast. Some affair partners push for quick commitment, like leave her for me, or, because they're afraid the man will come to his senses if given time, which is probably true. But a man deep in crisis is impulsive, selfish, short sighted, totally easy to manipulate. We hear stories every day of messages back and forth where with attorneys and the court where spouses feel like this is written by the affair partner. And this actually goes for men and women, um, where affair partners are intercepting correspondence and responding on behalf of the spouse. And yeah, that's a common thing. And the spouse doesn't even realize they're doing it because they just give over everything. Their brain's a fog, and they just need somebody else to handle that stuff. Their pride says, if I admit I was wrong, I lose everything. My reputation, my new partner, my fantasy. It's all pride. They'll stay in misery. They'd rather stay in misery rather than face their shame. And even when the fantasy life starts to crack, 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 many men actually double down rather than admit they made a mistake. And that's so sad. It's sad even for the affair partner because they're in a situation where, does this, you know, how committed is this person to them? Eh. But the crisis comes from inside. It's not the spouse. It's not the marriage. It's not getting older. It's really because they don't know how to process it and they destroy what they love the most. And that's why this is so tragic on so many levels. So, bomb squad out there, remember, you didn't cause it. You could not have stopped it. Definitely could not have stopped it. You might have been able to change it a little, and we'll talk about that too. Just know you were the innocent bystander of someone who is truly struggling with internal war. So, uh, we'll also have the aftermath of a husband, 5, 10, and 15 years later, of following his midlife crisis. 5 years later, anger and bitterness are his main emotions. The new life, that's new relationship, freedom, adventure, often feels empty. He might be financially worse off, emotionally isolated, and disconnected from his kids. He may jump now from relationship to relationship, chasing the high that he lost. At 10 years, he's aging even faster than he thought. Regret is heavier now. He often can't admit it out loud. He might become cynical, like, oh, all women are the same, marriage is a trap. He may struggle with addictions like alcohol, gambling, porn, workaholism, just to numb his emotions. He often feels invisible, irrelevant, used, especially if the affair partner leaves him or he gets divorced again. It's super sad. 15 years later, after this MLC, the loneliness becomes brutal. Adult children may still be distant or view him with quiet resentment. Health problems often appear and grow increasingly worse. He sometimes tries to reconnect with the ex-wife or children, hoping for emotional rescue, but often the bridge is too burned. In short, it's like he's an older man living with the consequences he ran from years earlier. However, if he does the inner work and grows, 5 years later, he will be humbled but wiser. He may have made real amends with his children if they allow it. If divorced, he often stays single a little longer to focus on healing and figuring himself out. And he shows up in relationships differently, calmer, kinder, and less selfish. So those are real wins right there if he does the inner work and grows. 10 years later, he'll have hopefully rebuilt a meaningful life. Maybe by now he's remarried, but only after deep personal growth. Relationships with children or family are more honest, even if not perfect. And he finally accepts his aging and mortality instead of fighting it with fantasies. At 15 years after MLC, he may feel more peaceful inside. He knows he made mistakes, but he's made peace with them. He's apologized where he could. He's shown remorse. He's learned. His life may be simpler than he once imagined, but you know what? It's real. It's not a fantasy. In short, growth gives him a second chance at a meaningful life, but it requires intense humility and courage. And here's what's really important for you to know. No matter what happens to him, your healing, happiness, and future do not depend on whether he regrets it or fixes it. Your life is already on a better trajectory because you face the pain instead of running from it. So stay in on your track, like the little train, stay on your track. So So a common thing we hear is, "Oh, he has nothing in common with this affair partner. How is he with that person?" And this goes both ways, whether it's male or female. But the affair down is a serious thing, and why he's blinded to the affair partner. First, he's in emotional overdrive. MLC is often triggered by deep internal emotional turmoil. He's dealing with aging, loss of identity, fear, and anxiety. He's seeking validation, escape, youthful excitement, not necessarily a healthy or balanced relationship. And the affair partner represents a fantasy of what he wants right now: excitement, newness, freedom. The affair is all about fantasy, not reality. He's seeing what he wants to see, not who she really is. She represents the idolized version of youth, energy, and excitement, like a rescue from his struggles. Reality checks like her flaws, her manipulations, her needs, totally ignored because the affair is a temporary escape from his personal crisis. He's narcissistically focused on himself. During the crisis, a man can become very self centered. It's less about the affair partner's character or long term compatibility. It's more so about how she makes him feel, like desired, powerful, young, and he doesn't critically assess her behavior. He's so caught up in his own need for affirmation that he's totally blind to all the red flags that everybody else sees. Actually, I just heard a country song today, something like that. It's called, I think it's called "No One Likes Your Girlfriend." I thought it was pretty funny. Um, the affair, yeah. Note to self: go find the video. I've got to watch the video to that song. The affair partner often plays into his fantasy. The affair partner may play along with the fantasy, especially early on. She may seem perfect, supportive, adoring because she's fulfilling his unmet emotional needs, his escape from routine, flattery, and attention. Presents herself as a solution. That solution blinds him to her flaws or manipulative tendencies, which are typically many, but they don't see it, and everybody else does. And that is what's so crazy. And he's avoiding facing his own issues. During MLC, many men avoid confronting their inner pain by focusing on the external, like the affair partner and the temporary highs. And when he's in pain, he's not even able to look at things rationally or see the affair partner for who she truly is. His emotional lens distorts everything. And what happens when the crisis subsides, you ask? That's when reality sets in. After the MLC passes, that's when the man starts returning to reality. He's either exhausted from the emotional roller coaster or because he's done some inner work. And now he can begin to see the affair partner for who she really is: flaws, manipulation, whatever issues were hidden during the rush. And this is where many men feel regret. They feel disillusioned, lied to, manipulated with the affair partner because once the high fades, they often realize they were chasing an illusion and not a real solution to their life's problems. And they realize they actually may have nothing in common with this person that was simply a placeholder for their escape. In short, yep, he's blinded during the affair. He's emotionally vulnerable, focused on himself, and desperately seeking escape or validation. He sees the affair partner through that lens of fantasy rather than reality. The relationship often isn't about her, it's about what she represents in his emotional state. And this is so sad. When your MLC husband wakes up, it's, on one hand, I feel like it's really sad, but on another hand, I actually feel like it's sort of funny. Because at first he experiences a period of shock and disillusionment. The high of the affair fades. The fantasy he was chasing collapses. He might suddenly realize that the affair partner is not the solution he thought she was. She may not be as perfect, loving, or fulfilling as he once imagined. Disillusionment sets in, and he may feel trapped, confused, and definitely angry at himself. Like, why did I do this? How did I get here? Is this really what I wanted? And we have spoken with MLC husbands before in the show, and that's exactly how they feel. And it's just so sad to hear that because it's like, gosh, everybody else was seeing that and trying to give them advice, but they couldn't see it. He realizes he lost what truly mattered in his life. When the crisis fades, he often wakes up to the real cost of his choices. He may feel ashamed or guilty about the impact on his family, particularly his spouse and children. The affair partner may have seemed like a savior, but now he sees how much he's lost in the process: the family, stability, and the trust of those he loved. There's no replacement for that. He begins to see the affair partner's flaws. Reality starts to sink in. The affair partner's not perfect. She may have had her own agenda, manipulating him for attention, money, security, to make other people jealous. He may now recognize that she was more interested in her own needs rather than genuinely being his partner. The affair partner may also lose interest, especially if the affair wasn't about a true bond, but about providing him with an escape. He may try to leave the affair, but it gets so complicated. Breaking free from the affair may not be easy. Your husband may still be emotionally attached to the affair partner or may fear facing the fallout from his family and then having nothing. He might try to hold on to both relationships, but that rarely works. This is when many men start to feel trapped in a cycle of guilt, confusion, and denial. Some may return to their spouse with half hearted apologies, but without the necessary changes in mindset or behavior to heal the relationship. He may attempt to apologize, but his actions matter more than words. Remember, he may feel regret and attempt to apologize to you or the children, but these apologies may seem insincere or lacking depth because the pain caused by his betrayal is just so deep. Words alone are not enough. His actions need to match his apology. Genuine remorse means accepting responsibility, making amends, and showing real change over time. And not everybody can do that. He struggles with long-term consequences, emotional fallout. Even if he feels guilty or ashamed, it's hard to come to terms with the lasting emotional scars that he's caused. And his spouse, you may never fully trust him again. The children may feel betrayed and never trust their dad again. The financial consequences. If he's left his family or ruined his relationships, the financial costs of divorce, child support, loss of assets might be staggering. And again, we just saw that in a recent interview here on the podcast where this family had paid off their home. They were set for retirement. Midlife crisis kicked in and went overboard spending. And now he's over $1 million in debt. So he went from totally secure to completely almost bankrupt. And then finally, you know what? There's social consequences. Friends and family may judge him harshly, may not trust him anymore, making it harder to rebuild his life. Relationships with those that were close to him before have been permanently strained. Employers, um, friends, it's just really rough. And again, if he seeks therapy for and tries to focus on personal growth, if he's really serious about that, well, there is a little hope there. Just remember, genuine remorse means committing to understanding his deep-rooted issues and not just regretting the outcome. He's got to work on himself long term. If he's genuinely trying to improve, he's going to focus on personal growth, becoming more self-aware, healing emotional wounds, facing his aging and mortality without running to distractions like new relationships, etc. He's got to learn how to manage relationships in a healthier way. And there are a ton of resources out there for this. He tries to rebuild his family, but it's going to be a long road. Your ex-husband, he may attempt to rebuild your relationship with you and the children, but this is going to take time and lots of patience. He'll need to earn back that trust by demonstrating consistent positive behavior over years, not just weeks or months. Real change in himself and his attitude toward his family is the key to whether or not this repair is successful. And you know what? He's going to lose the affair partner or she may lose interest. If he truly sees the affair for what it was, he may cut ties with the affair partner, especially if he returns to his family. Alternatively, the affair partner may lose interest in him once the novelty fades and the reality of his personal problems surface. Because typically they are just there for the fun. As a matter of fact, in another recent podcast, we had that situation where the affair partner was now sending topless photos of herself to her fiance's friends. The fiance was the husband in midlife crisis. So that's a whole different thing. But to sum it up, waking up to the affair's reality is often shocking and painful for your ex husband. He begins to understand that the affair was an escape from his own emotional turmoil and not a true solution to his problems. And this is where he starts to start thinking rationally again, which was completely out the window during MLC. No rationality. And this is where regret often follows. Um, and if he tries to make amends, the road to repair is long, difficult, and requires real change. So remember that. But it's doable. And there's a lot of resources out there that we have access to for you guys. Hey, if you think you might be having a midlife crisis, go check out the 2-minute quiz at midlifecrisismarriageadvocate.com. Again, super quick little quiz, totally free. Check it out at midlifecrisismarriageadvocate.com. Thanks again, you guys, for tuning into Midlife Crisis Bomb Drop and Beyond. We have passed over 1,000 downloads. We have hundreds of subscribers, if not over 1,000 or 2,000 already. So I just want to say thank you. How grateful I am for every single one of you that's listening and that has taken the time to be interviewed and appear on the show. I have a waiting list of people I'm trying to get to. So hang in there. We will get to you. Um, I really appreciate it, and I'm so glad to hear that everybody is, enjoying the show so much, and, I know it provides a lot of support. So thank you so much for that. And if you've been through a midlife crisis or been impacted by someone else's and you wanna share your story, I'd love to hear from you. Please reach out to me, on Facebook at MLC Bomb Drop or Instagram MLC Bomb Drop. So reach out however you like. Your voice matters. Your story could be the one that helps someone else feel seen, heard, and understood. Until next time, take care and keep standing in your truth.